They tell me about it.
So you'll hear that, lady. Yeah, so I have Natalia here, and we had been working through, I guess, at Academy of Art University, and she was kind of on the more of an illustration children's book track, and I was more of on a track of going towards comic books. And one of the things I was really intrigued by her work was just her sense of creativity in terms of playing with watercolors, in terms of playing with the different elements. I think one of the first classes we worked together on was in perspective class, which both drove us absolutely bonkers. The type of assignments that we had with the professor. And so it's kind of cool to see after the fact that you've graduated from Academy of Art University. And just the cool thing is, it's one of those things where I think it really gave you a lot of confidence in some ways, because your work has, when we first started, and just like me too, I feel like our work was just like, it was okay, but after, it just feels like our work has exploded. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that, and just in terms of how you feel like how your work is doing, because I think just seeing how much it has grown has been awesome to be a part of that experience. And even though we've seen each other's text and messages and those sort of things, this is really, we've tried several times, obviously, to get this meeting going, be it internet problems and those sort of things. So I'm just curious to hear some of your thoughts on how you feel like your work has progressed, and what does that look like. And I guess I should have mentioned, oh, by the way, welcome to TikvahMinds and all those sort of things, everybody watching. So yeah.
All right. So yeah, you're right. Actually, I think that though some people feel that education is not important, and basically you actually can be and can become a good artist without any, classes, just doing this stuff by yourself. But as for me, it did make me much better. Probably not the way it was planned by the academy, but the thing that you have to draw almost all the time, because you have to submit your assignments every week.
Right.
And even though you probably not always do the stuff you prefer to do, like,
Right.
still life paintings, it's not what I dreamed to do as an artist,
Right.
but it did make me better in, composition and some stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing that I had to do it for 15 weeks, every week do something new and exploring new mediums. It does help very much. And you were talking about confidence. I would say in like my usual life, I'm not a very confident person. Probably it's because I'm originally from Russia. And in Russia, we don't have this very like good job here in school. Everything you did, you say, okay, good job. But in Russia,
Sure.
it's like, oh, you did it wrong, do it again. So it's that way of raising children did not make me very confident in like real life. But now I'm like, okay, come on, guys, I have a diploma, I have master's, so now I know stuff. Yeah, but the thing that made me probably like influence me even more, it's that I started working like almost 2 years ago, like doing real stuff. So I started illustrating for a children's magazine. And the first that first publication, when I was holding the magazine in my arms and it was my image on the cover, I was like, oh my God, it's so cool. And the second thought was like, oh my God, the color correction should be better. So, I saw the result. And
That's hilarious.
Yeah, when you see that, okay, this is on the paper, this is in print, and you start like learning so much faster, because you can see, okay, the red color is always a problem. You have to like not just, draw well, you have to touch up in Photoshop, and you have to make
Sure.
sure that in print and it will look well too. And it's like
Right.
it's a different thing to do.
Yeah, for sure.
So having this magazine job, I still have it, and I really
Uh-huh.
enjoying it. Made me, first of all, I have to meet, all these deadlines in the
Mm,
magazine. You have a really strict deadlines.
sure.
And yeah, in parallel, I was doing my school assignments, so it was hard time. But this thing we really lack in school. We don't have opportunity to see our works in real life in print, or we're not taught to do this. So yeah, but it helped me a lot.
Yeah, no, it sounds like because I I was when you're talking there, I was thinking about because you do a lot of your work in actual media and not necessarily
Yeah,
Photoshop and those sort of things, right?
yeah.
And so do you feel that, I guess this kind of diverts from that question, but do, do you think that going from the assignments that are done on that weekly basis, because at Academy, I felt that they were like really restrictive in terms of time. Like you're just kind of alluding to that you almost had no time to be able to finish the
Yeah.
actual thing to the quality that you wanted it to. And so I was just curious, do you think that helped you in terms of going to, because you're just mentioning the hard deadlines of working with the publisher and that sort of thing. Did that help you, or is it even more harsh in the quote unquote real world?
Well, it did make things harder for me during my school,
Mm-hmm.
because I had to do both, and I actually could not. Both were a big priority for me because I had to finish my education and I had to
Yeah.
still working. But that habit to organize my time, for school, it definitely helped me with my work for the magazine, because I had everything written in my journal. Okay, 5 a.m. I had to wake up because I had to do 3 illustrations a day, and
Yeah.
it's a lot
It is
because
a
I had
lot.
to finish them. And I work in traditional medium mostly, so I had to scan and then Photoshop and everything. So that habit to organize your time to be able to be done on time, it really helped. But I think
Are you still doing that where you're just really have like almost like your day organized out, or what's that look like for
yes,
you?
yes. Well, now I have much more time with this quarantine thing, and with
Sure.
the thing that I graduated already. It's a big relief. But yeah, so it really helps for me to plan a week and every
Mhm.
day. So sometimes it changes, like our interview was rescheduled. but, but still,
Sorry.
I mean, I know what I do pretty much every hour in a day, plus minus. But it helped a lot.
No,
And so
that's
now I still have I'm working for the magazine full time. I'm the chief illustrator there, and I also work on a book. It will be published in November.
fantastic.
So, and I have another book in progress. So it's kind of still a lot of projects in work.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have to plan my time accordingly.
No, absolutely. Because I mean, being able to, that's just one thing is it sort of like some people are able to just jump into their work and just that they're not writing down in some sort of journal of like here's kind of my checklist of things that I have in a week
Mhm.
or my big long term, maybe month long plus plans and then daily plans. And it's so important, I think, to keep a track of those sort of things. And because I look at like prior to Academy of Art, I wasn't doing that a whole lot. And they just do out of necessity, it was just like, oh my gosh, to be able to, all right, where am I going to fit in time with, be it my family or those sort of things? It became a, a necessity, a huge
Yeah.
part of it. Um, what does that look like? I mean, are you writing it down as just sort of, do you have it like in a calendar? Do you have just a blank sheet of paper? Are you, what's that look like for you?
I have like a journal, a
Okay.
notebook, and I just put a date on each sheet, and I just write
Mm-hmm.
down what I have to do. And it's not just the stuff I have to do, but it's also like um, horse riding. I have like so it's not just the work stuff. It's also like life stuff, like
Yeah.
horse riding, children's, all this.
Yeah.
Family time, because if you don't plan your family time, you don't have your family time. You just keep working and working, and it's like the thing you get burned out, if you understand what I mean. Like you have only work, and it's not gonna you're not gonna have less work next day, so you have to plan your relaxed time as well.
Absolutely. No, that's incredibly important because then that carries over into other things as far as being at budgeting your, not only your time, but budgeting your resources, which, not to talk about our families in this way, but they are a resource to be, because spending time with them helps afford us, be it like you just said, time to creatively reset, because we can't always be, I guess, creative 24/7. Otherwise, I don't know about your work, but I feel like my work, it kind of degrades if you just do like these 24-hour binges or whatever. I don't know. Have you ever done one of those where you just work straight for 24 hours?
Well, yeah. And by the end, I just felt, okay, I just have to do something because I did feel that it's not my best, but I have to
No.
do something to, to be done.
Yeah.
I'm not proud of it.
Yeah. What was kind of like your
Wait, I'm not
highlight?
hearing you.
Oh, you're not?
Yeah, just tell it again.
Are we on again?
Yes.
Okay. What was kind of like your high point in terms of uh, the Academy of Art, and what would be like your low point of like, what would be another way of asking it if that doesn't necessarily.
Well, what do you mean by high
Well,
point?
what would be kind of like your like a highlight, and then something that you just that you feel like, okay, this was kind of like my aha moment to tipping over and realizing kind of your potential. And then what would be kind of like your like the I guess for me, it was the creature design class of just like, okay, this is, I know exactly where I am and where my weaknesses are and where my strengths are, and starting to push more towards the
Mhm.
strengths with purpose, if that makes sense.
Okay, I can tell that that aha moment, how you call it, I did not feel it until my midpoint review. So for a very long
Mm,
time, because we had all these classes that were kind of mandatory, like that still life class and perspective class, and you actually did not work in your own style. You didn't have
yeah,
your own style because, well,
yeah,
in still life we had this bunch of like objects you have to arrange and draw.
yep.
In perspective, you just basically didn't have time for anything. Just had to do it. And your style is the last thing you were
Here, drink
thinking
the ocean through
about.
this fire hose. What?
And like we have this figure drawing. When we had to draw that figure with the models, we having this set of photos, and we had to draw that models. So again, it's not what you would do, right? It's
Mhm.
even not the models you would pick. So until the midpoint, I did not even have understanding what I would work, and what is like like human body. What would be my approach to draw
Mhm.
it, to illustrate, like So I was kind of lost actually, because we did always classic academic style classes, and it is good. I mean, probably I
Sure.
would agree that they're necessary to make you draw, to teach you this proportion. And we have this head drawing class, which I actually liked, but
Yeah.
again, we were provided with photos,
We were
and
in that same class, weren't we? I think we were.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think we
So
were.
I did like
Yeah, I like that
the
one too.
teacher. I liked that the book he wrote, but again, it was like very realistic, and
Yeah.
it made me better artist, but it did not tell me anything about my own style and my own
Hmm.
approach. So
Hmm.
when I was getting ready to that midpoint review, I had time to, okay, what would who I am, how I well, what I prefer to work with. Is it watercolor? Is it like digital, or whatever? I mean, I did not even know. So I had a watercolor class right before my review, and I thought, okay, I'll try something because I have watercolor now. I'll try to do something in watercolor.
Right.
And then, yeah, I just started. I think it was a turning point because I finally started to do something myself.
Right.
Like, I didn't have a teacher who tell me, okay, his nose looks different, you know. So yeah, until that, I was just doing assignments and trying to do them look like the photograph I was provided with.
Yeah.
And I don't know. After midpoint, I was said that, okay, you have your character design is good, so they kind of. I was very uplifted.
Good. Yeah. What did you, how did you feel like, what was kind of your path to discovering your style, and where do you feel like you're on, where are you at on that path?
First of all, I realized that I actually don't like drawing people. I was like, I mean, I
And,
can.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah.
like I can't. I'm totally able, but it's like, I'm not interested. I don't know
Yeah.
how to explain. It's not just I
Sure.
don't like people, but I don't like drawing people,
Yeah.
and I realized that, okay, but there are a bunch of children's books, when you don't have to. They're about animals. Like, okay, I'm good here. And then I realized that I actually like drawing animals a lot in full variety. It was the reason why actually I picked that class when we met, as creature class,
Uh-huh.
because I like drawing animals a lot, and I was thinking, okay, I gonna do it better. So that was a very important thing, because in illustration, if you should do what you like to do, and you should put samples in your portfolio with the stuff you like actually working in a style you like working. And I realized that, okay, no people. No. So yeah, and when I just picked several stories and just illustrated them.
The, I'm looking at your, I guess the March 20 cover. You're like the horse. So you around horses a lot, or you, because you're of course your last thing that you posted on Instagram was that the horse's head.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a
Beautiful
horse.
work. Holy
Thank
moly,
you.
that's awesome. Impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a horse I ride.
Hmm.
He is very interesting guy. He has like I don't know if it's art related, but I can tell. Yeah, he's a
Absolutely.
rescue, and
Uh-huh.
he has a very strong personality, and he's very intelligent. So it makes it very hard to deal with him, because he can bite, he can kick,
Mm,
and that's why I really appreciate that he likes me.
sure.
So he is very gentle to me, and this the way I draw him, and I was told his owner actually told me, like, okay, you're the person who see him this way, because some people just afraid of just even getting past his stall.
Sure.
They- Yeah, he had a tough life, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not just the horse. He's a friend to me.
Yeah, no, you can see in the picture. It really catches just yeah, it's awesome. I love that work. How do you is that because obviously with like even though you're doing like with your cat drawings and within your publication, even those they have a sense of personality to them. Just certainly with the horse that how do you go about illustrating that personality, which is something as an illustrator where we have to be very attentive, if you will, to those types of attitudes. And so what's kind of your process of expressing those
Well, about
qualities?
the cat, I was the person who designed him.
Uh-huh.
It was the beginning of okay, from the beginning, several people decided that we have to keep, originally from Russia, and it's hard to keep language to my children because they have only English around.
Sure,
so several people decided that okay, we have to start our own children's magazine for bilingual children to keep Russian language. So the
That's
magazine is
awesome.
in Russian language.
So you're speaking Russian to your kids at home?
Yes.
That's awesome.
It's mandatory. So they just post on Facebook like, okay, we start in magazine. Do you have any suggestion? And I was like, okay, I'm studying illustration. I just have to suggest my service. So I posted there like, hi guys, I'm an illustrator. I can help. And they asked me to design. So they decided that the magazine name would be Cat in a Bag. In Russian, it's expression of some surprise. So like, buy me cat in a bag, it means like you don't know what you'll get.
Sure.
So it might be an unpleasant surprise, but in our case, it's a pleasant surprise. So the name is Cat in a Bag, and it has to be a cat, and it's like a main character, and it goes from issue to issue. So it's like everything what we talking about, the cat talks about it. So I designed actually it was free sketches with different cats, and they pick one. Yeah, I kind of made him up this way. So with his personality, like a little bit like street smart, like, kind of tricky cat, this mischievous guy. So for
Absolutely.
some images, I had references. Well, almost for everything I had references, but some of them as children's photographs of my children. So yeah, so very. Some of them are very personal. So I was drawing a cat, but it's actually drawing a people I well know.
No, people you love and all those sort of things. Because obviously those are, I think, important in terms of carrying across the, I guess, reaching beyond kind of even our references and those sort of things, and hitting a chord with something that wasn't necessarily intended, and so in a very good and positive way. I guess, how many sketches do you do or how many works do you do for your for the magazine? Or
Well, it's always a cover. So I'm getting published every month because I'm doing every cover. And it's pretty much, well, some of them are going from issue to issue, like they just printed again and again. But it's about 3-4 illustrations inside as well.
What's is it like a weekly deadline, or is it like you have like four to get in a month, or is that?
It's like, well, for now, I already done with cover for November,
Mm-hmm.
and I have like the art director. She sends me texts, and
Mm-hmm.
it's already like designed. So I have sizes for the illustration,
Mm-hmm.
inch by no, like width by,
Nice.
yeah, and the text. So, and I have a lot of freedom actually. I'm grateful for this.
Awesome.
So I
Yeah.
decide myself what it would be,
Uh-huh.
and I probably sometimes I send her the sketches,
Uh-huh.
but well, we work for a long time together, so now I'm just doing the illustrations and send it to her, and it's very rare then she asks me to redo something,
For
and
sure.
it's usually very very small things. So, and
Okay.
that's why I enjoy it a lot, because I have a lot of freedom.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So you told a little bit about your story of the magazine. Where are you at? Are these the children's books that you're working on? Are they also with
Yeah,
this group, or is this totally separate, or where's those projects at?
we had a story I illustrated for magazine. It was a story about cat again, well, different cat. So, and it was, published in small parts in each issue, like to be continued, to be continued, to be
Oh,
continued.
cool. Uh-huh.
So, and finally, it was so popular. Everybody loved it, and childrens were asking, like, okay, what happened next? When what? So they decided to do the whole story of that cat as a book. So it's the
Okay.
same publishing house, and I was illustrating the story for the magazine. So I'm
Okay.
the person who they asked to do it for the book. The problem is the book is totally different format. Like it's a portrait, not. I mean,
Mm.
I can't resize it. I have to do it again. So, well, not everything, thankfully, but now I mean, I saw that the composition should be totally different for portrait and
Uh,
orientation. So
uh-huh.
some illustration works, some I just have to redo from scratch. But I'm so excited to have it published.
Yeah, for sure. I guess how many works are in that total pages is that
It's
book?
32 pages.
It's pretty
They
good.
take away some parts
Sure.
because they wanted to fit 32 pages.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's I don't remember the sizes, but it's like portrait oriented, and it has pretty much on each, because it's for like 7, 9 years old
Okay.
stuff, so it has the illustrations almost on every page.
So some of the older because you're just saying that they all were pretty much done in the or not in the comic book, sorry.
In the magazine.
In the magazine. So they are all done in the magazine. Have you found that some of them that you're having to redo, that you're like, oh my gosh, how much you've grown in terms of your style and trying to implement that same style, or have you found that taking place, or what, if that makes
Yeah,
sense?
I actually some of them
To keep
uh,
continuity and all that sort of stuff.
I've done being under very hard pressure. So I've done it very, I mean, not the best style I can,
Sure.
because I had deadlines and it was in school time, and I was honest that, like, okay guys, I would prefer to redo these ones because I can do better. And I mean, that worked for the magazine, but for the book I want to do, like, I
For
wanted to
sure.
polished, and you know it's a little bit different format. And some of them I don't know, I just feel that the one what worked for magazine, and it was mostly landscape,
Hmm.
just don't work for the book. Because we have, like, mock-up book, and I can see that it just don't look nice.
Sure.
And in terms of the style, I guess, yeah, I feel that I'm much stronger now.
Sure.
That's why I redo some of them as well.
Yeah, for sure. Are you helping market this book through this, or what's kind of that look like? Are they helping you do that, or talk a little about kind of some of the back end business in terms of getting the book published and what's some of that process look like?
Um, well, I have experience only with this small private publishing house, so
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't know how it goes with other big big
Sure.
players.
Because each one
Um,
is obviously going to have a different philosophy and all those sort of things. No, this is great.
so as I know, they decided to publish it, so they found the typography in China because it's
Hmm.
much cheaper than doing it here.
For sure.
They signed a contract, so they talked about sizes, paper quality, and everything.
Hmm.
And I mean, I was the side of it, and they just sent me the sizes and this InDesign kind of template
Hmm.
with the text already in.
Hmm.
And first, I did not like the font. I mean, it was not. I didn't tell like, okay, I didn't like it. Do it again. I just like express my opinion about the font. It should be like different, and
So
so
it's a very collaborative sort of work.
yes. So I really like that they hear my opinion, and
Hmm.
I again have a lot of freedom. Of course, the end word and end decisions is not by me, but
Sure.
still, I feel that I really enjoy the process. So with
Yeah.
probably I couldn't do it with like a bigger publishing house, but here I can enjoy the creative part and be sure that I'll be heard, and I'll be asked about, okay, how do you feel if we put this picture here, and
Hmm.
all about this. So yeah, and I started working like putting my illustrations in between the text, and something I can't change, so I can't ask for more pictures for more pages, for example.
Hmm.
But all of all in all, I mean I have a lot of freedom to decide what we put inside.
Sure.
And yeah, so it's almost ready, and hopefully it will be published in November.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big feat. So is this the first, be it just standalone outside of magazine publication that you're
Yes,
that's
yes.
awesome.
It's
Wonderful.
like book. It's first book I'll have. I have a bunch of magazines,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, it was my dream for a long time to have a book published.
That's awesome. Are you working with the writer, or
Well,
are
it's
you the
weird.
writer,
I did
or
not I didn't talk to the writer directly. I don't know. Probably he is sort of kind of closed person. I don't know. I mean, we did not meet,
uh-huh.
but we working like I tell something to the editor or to the art director, like, come on, I think it's here. It will look like, and she's like, okay, the author really likes how you picture the main character.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't even know, it is a cat, and I didn't know what color he is or something like this. So I just drew him in black color, and then I felt that like the author was pleased by by the way I did it.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So is there a lot of back and forth between that sort of in terms of a process? So you set up a particular composition in this way, and is it sometimes when you send that to the art director and the writer, they come back and say, no, I think it was more this way? Is there a lot of that back and forth, or is it?
No, mostly I managed to feed the expectation about
Good.
how the cat should look, and but well, some pictures, it's not like they didn't work, but it was from me. I felt that okay, it's gonna look better the way, so I redid it. But yeah, I was given just the color of his eyes, so about the cat I knew that okay, he has green eyes, and other than this I didn't have anything in the text to
to go off of.
yes.
Yeah. How do you feel that, let's say for example, in some other dimension, you didn't go to Academy of Art, do you think you would be able to get to where you are now in terms of what you're doing? Or you talked about that a little bit earlier, but I wondered if you could kind of expand upon that.
As for me, absolutely not. I
Okay.
mean, without Academy, I would not be at the point that I am now.
Sure.
I don't know, all people are different.
Yeah.
And I know people who were just taking a bunch of workshops and just doing their own style and like posting, and I don't know. Probably it could work for me, but the way the Academy did, it's like the most efficient way for me personally.
For sure.
So even though some of the classes, I mean, I don't use it directly. I mean, I had to work with oil paintings, for example,
Sure.
and well, I liked it, but now I mean, when I illustrate, and I don't use oil paintings. It's not the efficient way, you know.
No,
But
not
still,
remotely.
the knowledge of it's still useful for me in some terms, I guess. So yeah, it made me much more organized. It made me drawing a lot. So like 8-10 hours a day was like usual way to spend my time, you know.
For sure. Yep.
Without it, oh, it's probably not particularly, you know, Academy of Art, but without any like school, when you have to, I would not go that far, because I feel myself and I have the actually portfolio what I sent to Academy when I just applied.
Right.
And it's such a big difference. It's not, I can't tell that it's bad. It's
right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But now I can do so much better.
Oh, for sure. And well, without a doubt, do you think that, I guess, because you did all of your classes online, right?
Yes.
Do you think it would be better to, if you'd go back and do it all over again, would it have been better to do it in person, or you felt that you were able to get the, I guess, the content that you needed to? And of course, I don't know, I'm very much for one of being in my own house and all those sort of things versus traveling to San Francisco, that sort of thing, and being in person. What are your thoughts there?
Well, it's not my first education. I have masters in science that I
Okay.
get back in Russia in chemistry, and that one of course, I got it on site, not online.
Right.
And I don't know, education-wise, it's probably does not matter. It matters when you know, you meet people, you have some um, entertainment around, and students' life, and all of these.
Sure, sure.
It's very important. I can't tell that it's not important. It's important, but
Absolutely.
it's not that important. Well, and chemistry is a science you have to actually do with your hands, so it has to
Right.
be on site.
Right.
But now I think like I felt so much more comfortable in my house doing my art than if I had to go somewhere.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, you say?
yeah, I think that I would do it online again if I had a choice again.
Yeah, for sure. I'm very much agreeing with you because I think that having at the same time, and that was kind of the thing that drew me to Academy of Art, is that their ability to do the online courses and all those sort of things. Obviously, a major part of that responsibility is on the individual to be able to work hard and produce the work and all those sort of things. And it's up to us to be able to find the artists that we like and start adding those qualities into our work to decide to find our style. But it takes but there's no doubt that um, when I was an undergraduate, I mean, it'd be unheard of to do an idea of even just this conversation, let alone to do an education online. And I think that's one of the things in terms of where we are now. There's just a huge push in terms of online education. And like you were saying earlier, that you could get this information anywhere, but it doesn't necessarily have to be from one. For some people, it's having that opportunity to grow into that through like a university or that sort of thing versus others that can just kind of go to these different workshops or watch some YouTube video or those sort of things. Um, what is kind of what's, I guess, what's next for you? Because you mentioned earlier about your getting a book published. What's kind of, you mentioned another book. What's kind of beyond that in terms of how do you go about planning your next projects and those sort of things?
Well, for now, I just haven't had it given to me. Like I was suggested, okay, can you do the book? And I mean, I'm very interested in it. I really enjoy my work now, working with these people. The next one will be actually my diploma project, ABC.
Okay.
Because I did it and it's ready, and I just ask them, okay, do you happen to want publish this? Because I much more prefer to sitting at my table and drawing than to do all this business stuff,
Sure.
find a publisher.
Right.
So I would prefer someone professional to do it for me, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind to share some percent, for this.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the answer. My next project is part of my diploma project, which is I just finished, and it's an ABC book. You probably could see it in my
Yep.
Instagram account.
Yeah, that's awesome. Absolutely. Again, it shows all those different personalities that they like that. Was the alligators kind of separate, I guess, but the alligator, even with the ABC, they all show a really their unique personality, and like you're just saying, from your kids or different interactions and those sort of things. Um, you mentioned business stuff. How do you go about? Because obviously organizing your time is a major business hurdle, but what other things do you do to help ensure your success to be able to keep doing what you're doing? That makes sense from a business perspective.
Well, it's like it is any artist, I guess. Every artist would prefer someone professional doing it for them,
Yep.
because we all prefer doing our creative part
Mm-hmm.
and not doing business part because it's hard and boring.
Sure.
But we had this class in academy about business. I think it's only one class about business
And I haven't
academy.
taken that one
Oh, you
yet,
should.
so
It's a good one. So it was very useful. I mean, it opened my eyes on a lot of stuff. like who is your good client, who is a bad client.
Absolutely.
So I realized actually that I don't have free time, I have expensive time. So that was like that was very like eyes opening, because I have a lot of friends who is kind of way, oh, you draw anyway, can you draw my portrait? I'll give you $50. Like,
Right.
you know, and I was like, okay, if I'm drawing a portrait, it is at least 10 hours, like at
Oh yeah.
least,
Oh yeah.
especially with if I'm doing it with a classical medium, like not digitally, and like not using any photos, but just you sitting in front of me. I mean,
Right.
it's a bunch of work,
Oh, it's
and
huge.
especially with humans, you know, everyone knows how his face or her face looks.
Right.
So even small mistake
Oh yeah.
will make it, you know, you will see it's not your face.
Absolutely.
So it's not, I mean, my point is it's not $50.
No, it's not $50.
So the realizing that,
It's
but
whatever
you
your wage
know,
is, 50 times 10.
yes. And when you realize that, okay, you actually, if you want, state yourself as a business, because I am my own business, I am
Absolutely.
business. You have to kind of reject this bunch of friends who, I mean, they're not bad people. They just
Absolutely.
probably don't realize that they're not doing a good thing to you, suggesting you just $50 for the portrait. So that understanding who is a good client, who's a bad client, and I mean, I'm not rude. I'm just telling, oh, I'm very busy right now. I can't draw any portrait right now. So that was the first thing. I understand that there are projects I can spend my time on and they worth it, like the
Mhm.
magazine, the book, or I mean, some stuff for art gallery that represents me. But some of clients who come, they are bad clients, and I
Mhm.
should not spend my time on those projects, even though I mean, you know, I like my friends and I don't mind to draw a portrait once in a while,
Right.
but only if I feel like it and I, you know, like ready to spend the time and resource for this. That
Absolutely.
was that was first thing. The second was that I have a book again, the journal, and I write down every expenses, every art related expenses I do, and well, as debit as if I get paid, I write it there as well. So I put there everything from like paper, brushes, and
Yes.
workshops, school, like class, the academic classes as well, and like
Yep.
even internet and Photoshop, all this stuff. So it's everything is counted, and like by the end of the month, I can see if I'm in plus or in minus.
Right.
So I'm actually it's boring stuff, but
No, it's
I
incredibly important stuff.
I
No,
make
absolutely.
yeah I make myself do it each week at least, like, well, put everything in. And by the end of the year, when we do taxes with my husband, I'm telling him what here's my my benefits. And I actually, after the first year, I was very proud to have uh, more, like that. I earn more than I spend. So
That's awesome.
not much more, but well, it's something.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. Because that's one of the things with like the whole Tikva thing that I'm trying to do, that like, because we're not, even though one class I think is probably really beneficial, I think it's, my opinion, I think it's entire, like an entire subject that I think is incredibly important. Obviously, learning our craft and learning how we go about making our work is very, very important. It's finding our signature, all those types of things. But I mean, if you don't, like you mentioned, like making an expense sheet, if you don't feel confident just in doing something like that, which isn't necessarily um, simple, it's time consuming to be able to, okay, document all your different expenses that you're having, and then where are they, and developing a budget and all those sort of things. But it's one of those things that it really can make or break the opportunity to be even to do the work that you're doing. That if because otherwise you might have to end up picking up another job or different things like that. So no, it's an incredible subject that I'm I'm very passionate about, because it's something that I don't think that we're taught. We're not, it's not something that is, for whatever reason, especially in most universities, aren't even spending any time on the subject. I'm just sort of, kind of look over there and okay, whatever. This is how you write your artist statement, and that's the extent of your business training. And it's like, whoa, it's far more than just that. So, is there anything else that you're doing from a business standpoint? Like you mentioned, like your expense sheet or those sort of things. Is there anything else that you're doing to either help promote your work, or or even itemizing your time or your expenses? Is there anything else that's really important that you think should be
Um,
taken here too?
yes, every time you have a client, uh, whatever, even if it's like a friend of a friend, well, um, you have to talk about the amount of job you'll do and how it's going to be paid. It's very important to talk about it in advance before you start it, because
Expectations.
people understand done job differently. So you have to have a common vision, like, okay, if it's like if you want me to illustrate something for you, let's like, how many sketches you want me to do, like what's uh, because sometimes you do like the finished sketch and you are ready to get to the illustration already, and a person calls you and tell you, okay, can we change here and here, or can you change the color, can you change. So there is a point then I don't do any changes, or you
Mm-hmm.
pay me for changes I'll do, because on the sketch study I can change, on the illustration study, because, well, even though I work in even if I would be working in digital, I still, I don't want to. I already did my job. So you pay me for this job. And
Sure.
if you want to change, if you want me to change it, you pay me again for what I will
Absolutely.
change.
Absolutely.
And it's not like you being rude or something. You
No.
just have to do it in advance, even if you know the person you work for. So now I'm working on a book with the persons I know, and I know them well, and I trust them, and they
Yeah.
trust me. But
Yeah.
still, we talk about how I gonna get paid, what
Yeah.
is my part, what is not, and
Yeah.
how many time. So I know my deadlines,
Yeah.
and it makes things so much easier for both sides. And well, next thing, you have to sign the paper, so you have to have it on paper.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it really it it makes your business so much safer, because
Absolutely.
people are different,
Mm-hmm.
and even if they seem sane to you, sometimes they not. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, about promotion, I have um, art gallery. I used to, for now they have this quarantine time, so they not.
Yeah.
I don't have any artworks there currently,
Sure.
but during that last year, they represented my fine art, and it was very good for me, because I can see how much more much more people liked my page and all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff,
Absolutely.
and just, yeah, were looking for me. even though it's fine art, it's not illustration, but still. And also I was teaching a class in local art school.
Okay.
Not that I really like teaching, but I mean, just it was good money, and they asked me to teach this class. And even though I don't see myself in my future as a teacher, at least for now, but it was a very helpful experience because I was teaching perspective, by the way. So I created this perspective.
The irony, it's funny.
So my goal was to make it much more understandable than the one I had in the academy. But it's still, I mean, it's hard stuff. So even though it's still hard, it was still hard for people. But yeah. After this class, kind of people got to know me better, and so they followed me as well. So it worked.
No, that's a lot of excellent stuff, because you bring up several points. One that kind of popped in my mind is that even though we might be making money in a particular area, that there's other opportunities or other areas that, so that I guess our income isn't just on one thing, that there's other opportunities that still fits within our, I don't know, the buzzword, our wheelhouse or those types of things. And so I think that's the other sort of important thing that you brought up. Tell where can we find your stuff, Natalia? Can we follow your stuff? And then yeah, where can we find your work and follow it?
Oh well, my Instagram and my website. I'll give it to you. Well, you have my Instagram. I'll give it my website.
We'll share it in the description and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, how should I put it in the?
I'll put it in the description. No worry about it.
Okay. Thank you for this.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else that you wanted to talk about that maybe I missed or that sort of thing?
I don't know. I just can tell that for me was getting an artist. For me was important to really understand what I like to do. I mean, it's such a big field. You can do many things. You can design logos, you can do graphic design, you can do comics, you can do illustration, and sometimes you feel like, okay, I have to be able to do everything of this to ensure my income, to be like all kind of jobs. But yeah, and I have experience of doing logos and some stuff, but then I realized that actually I enjoy illustrating the most. And though I still doing fine art, and it's animal portraits mostly, and I will be, but my main thing is illustrating. And my point is I don't want to spend time doing some random logo stuff when I can do more the stuff I really enjoy the most. So probably it's like the last thing I want to say, like to wish to everyone who is in our field to find that really makes it like makes your life make you enjoy doing it, and
enriching. Yeah, absolutely.
Not just for money, but what is really calling you and what is really
that's absolutely really important, because otherwise I think that was the similar sort of thing was that I was doing. I was actually a med tech in undergraduate.
Oh, wow.
And then there's one day I was just sitting in class. I was like, man, I'm done with this. And I walked out, and that was it. And I decided to follow art and all those sort of things. So that was something that was, oh, you can't do that. That's not something that you can make a business out of, and all those types of things. and which just kind of ultimately led me to, and I'm sure it's a similar sort of story with you, where it's just ultimately it's led you to really your passion in terms of being able to create and tell stories in a very meaningful way and share those with others. And I think that's what I hear you saying, and that's something that I think is incredibly important, that as illustrators that we keep endeavoring to improve our work and all those types of things along the path to tell those stories even better. So, but yeah, absolutely. Cool stuff. Well, thank you, Natalia. Hang around. I'm gonna hit record after this, and then hang around for a little bit. And everybody else, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging on the channel. And take a look at Natalia's stuff. It's fantastic. Follow that, all that sort of good stuff. And we really look forward to seeing your book and your book published, and then your future endeavors and all those sort of things.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. We'll see ya.
TikvahMinds.com